Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the first ever video chat that we've done for Wall Street Bets within our own community. We have with us today Jamie Rogozinski, BTC VIX, and Meow Meow, all of Wall Street Bets. The subject today is barriers to entry in DeFi. And we're going to talk about our new website, the new rebrand, and also some of the new developments in the pipeline that are going to make this project the best positioned in the marketplace for new people coming into crypto, learning how to invest in DeFi and onboard themselves without the traditional friction that most people encounter. I'd like to start with Jamie. And
Hi.
Hi, Jamie. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you? Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's been a while.
Well, I've never actually seen you. It's always just your voice.
I know. So I'd love to sort of jump in with a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, and there's a lot coming down the pipeline in the weeks to come. Where do you see this in terms of positioning Wall Street Bets in the marketplace as something that's really distinct and unique from everything else in DeFi?
Before we get started with that, I just need to do something real quick. Very, very excited about this sign that I finally got with the new redesign. The redesign. Hold on, I'm gonna turn it off again because the lighting's not optimal. The new redesign uses this neon concept, and so what smarter way than to actually turn it into a neon sign? So I'm super excited. Just got that today. No, but look, I'm very excited about all these changes that are coming on. Like, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes that's been taking place for several weeks and months, and continues to happen. And for me, one of the things that's always been of utmost importance is the usability, the friendliness, right? This new look and feel, some of these new functionalities that are being introduced, really easy relative to what they've been before. I think we can still do better. There's a lot of obstacles to make them better, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was when I first got here, right? When I wanted to, if I wanted to do one of these single stock, download the account, download the app, create a thing, got to fund it with certain type of currency, you got to switch it because the network's not compatible, and then you got to go put it over here and pay some Ethereum fees, and then all these different things, and then I got to configure the MetaMask in order for it to work properly. And now it's really easy, right? Now you just go in there, say, I want to just take my ETH, blah, blah, blah. It's not in your MetaMask. There's a button. It appears. Everything's beautiful. And that accessibility, I think, is one of the most important components of it, because I know that what's happening right now is we're bridging Wall Street and crypto together. And so people that are in crypto, and they've been in crypto for a while, they're really used to these things. It's really a no-brainer how to set up these wallets and how to move this money and how these different protocols and networks work. But for an outsider, it's definitely a challenge. And I think that crypto has so much potential if it creates itself a more inviting approach, because the crypto world has done some really, really incredible things. And, and I think that the rest of Wall Street could benefit a lot from that.
Great. And it feels to me also like one of the common pieces of feedback, the consistent feedback we get from our own community, is the degree to which they want to bring people into this project because of how much they love it. And they're often hearing, we got to this point, we got to that point, and then it just got too hard or too complicated. And, I've noticed this team has done an amazing job of onboarding that feedback and listening to it and really starting to look into various ways to solve for that, in terms of new applications and new APIs and ways of getting money into the project without having to go through all those hurdles. Vix, I'd love to talk to you about what was some of the thinking going into the rebrand and the redesign of this site and the brand on the whole in terms of making it more appealing to everyday people?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things I think people see for the new site is we wanted to get as much of the meme component integrated into the new site to it's forever immortalized in the meme timeline of what Wall Street Bets is. So I think that was really a big component, was the design aspect of it. And I'm certainly not the brainchild of that. Phil is has done a wonderful job with that. And we're looking to make it a more slick experience as we continue to add new products into what I call the WSBDApp suite. The ETPs are taking a bit longer. We've had some hurdles over at Balancer with their V2 pools. We're at the first of its kind type instruments over there. So I say dev taxes and dev delays. Commons are like a constant in the universe. So, but that said, we're not just sitting on our hands. We pushed forward and got the single stock option out there, the single stock interface that we partnered with Mir with. We're going to continue to add more instruments as well as more chains. That's the direct side of the roadmap. We're looking at expanding, or actually updating, I should say, the roadmap in general. I don't want to leak too much, but I mean, NFTs are definitely on there. Probably, a close second to, the ETPs on the roadmap. And then I'm looking at, we're going to go the whole way and bring in DeFi options and then DeFi, futures and margin trading as well.
That's exciting. Can you talk a little bit more about when you say you're adding chains and you're going to add additional stock options, et cetera, to the Stonks channel? Can you talk a little bit with more specificity about what those will be?
Well, I mean, specifically on the stock side, I mean, we definitely want to go into the Polygon chain. We've seen, I think a lot of us, if you would have polled people, say, 3, 4, 5 months ago, Binance Smart Chain was kind of all the rage. It seemed like everything was going to be built on there. We're now seeing, the Empire Strikes Back with Polygon, and they've been doing a tremendous amount of work too. So we're not, we continue to remain chain agnostic. We're not here to pick who wins or loses. We certainly want our users to get the cheapest fees. So, the unfortunate nature of, and the unfortunate reality is Ethereum still is a very cost prohibited chain. So we want to continue to expand out to that and whatever assets we can continue to add on, any of those chains.
Right. What would you say is the success of Matic as this sort of emerging competitor to BSC? To what is that owed? What do you think it is about Matic that is making it so competitive right now?
I think a lot of it actually is because there's a meme. I'm not sure. I mean, we're in meme central here. There's a meme where it's like one of those. It's kind of like one of those captchas that you have to complete. The one that's like pick the train out in each picture, right?
Yeah.
And it says pick the Binance chain validators, and all of them have CZ in the picture. So I think people have come to realize how centralized Binance Smart Chain is. And it's concerned a lot of people.
Yeah.
Certainly, they've come under heat from a lot of U.S. three-letter agencies, and you can clearly tell that CZ is under immense amount of stress, as rightfully so. So I think Polygon was positioned well. The development started kind of when all the concern started brewing up around Binance Smart Chain, and it's just much more decentralized. The other, whether it be exchanges or, for example, like OpenSea, OpenSea does have Polygon integration. It doesn't have Binance Chain integration. So I think you're seeing Polygon emerge as kind of the clear, sidekick to, Big Brother Ethereum right now. It just seems to be evolving that way.
Right. And playing probably a much bigger role in the NFT space than people were expecting it to, perhaps. Now, to go back to the brand, because a rebrand is a big thing to do, especially, something that's as established as this is and has been around as long, in the sort of like pop culture space. Jamie, can you tell us a bit about how the original brand identity formed and how much of that came from the community, and how did it start to define itself slowly over time, and to get a little bit into what the true fundamental ethos of Wall Street Bets is that is being carried forward right now?
Look, Wall Street Bets has always been the community. Like, all the good things that have come from Wall Street Bets have been from the community. It's clear that collectively people are incredibly innovative and creative and intelligent and knowledgeable, and put them together and you have a lot of great things that happen. Like, thinking about all the time I spent on Wall Street Bets, the best moments were people that were users, right? Like, it's a guy that figured out how to get infinite margin, or the other guy that exploited the box spreads. And of course, you have Roaring Kitty or Deep Fucking Value with GME and so on and so forth. It's always been the community, right? And you've had kind of like an evolving brand idea where, where people enjoy memes, and you have this concept of the apes is really something that came about from the community. It's not one individual who says, I think we should start talking about these. No, it's people decides to make a funny picture, whatever, it really sticks. People like it, they identify with it, and then the next thing you know, they're using it in mainstream. And now I'm hearing I was on a podcast the other day from a guy that said I was called an ape the other day, and I don't know if I should be insulted or if I should be honored, because and that's what's cool. So this new identity came about from that, right? You go on the page and it's this kind of, Wall Street, these apes are taken over. You have this meme component in the background, which is really topical and can constantly change. You have the moons and the diamond hands and the rocket ships and whatever it is. And memes by very nature come and go and they change. But it's very much inspired from what the community really enjoys and identifies with. And that's really what stuck.
Do you find that there's an unexpected sense of humor in DeFi, and especially when you get into the BSC chain and that side of it? Like, was it surprising to you to see how many people not just love the memes, which I think was probably predictable, but how they respond to the things that happen in this space? Whether it's some of the rug pulls or some of the scams that have become very famous, just the sort of general collective attitude and resilience that people have.
It's very clear that we have a giant, and not just in the crypto space, but in just regular Wall Street as well. We have a huge number of new participants that have come to the market, and they've carved out their own approach to it, and they've made it a sustainable strategy, right? This so-called meme stock investors, where they're saying, I'm not effing selling even if it goes to zero, right? I just want to stick it to the hedge funds or whatever it is. And they're kind of detaching themselves from this concept of making money, and they're attaching themselves more to this concept of winning a game, or or ending it correctly. And so, and in many cases, it can actually translate to making money. And I guess people's deep hopes is that they're able to do both at the same time. But this active participation in the market is wonderful, right? Because people come into this, and it's not, I could sit here and talking about this discounted cash flows according to the EBITDA of this company, whatever, or you could just put the picture of Elon Musk going to the moon, and it's funny because you like the cars, or because they're literally sending rockets to the moon or Mars or wherever it is, and that's all that people need to know. They don't care about the finances. They're like, dude, these guys, revolutionized, or they really propelled this electric car thing, and they've really completely reinvented this rocket, the renewable rockets, the Falcon that lands on itself and whatever. And then people can just, I like that. I want to buy this stock because I like that, right? And then you have that same thing going on with crypto. It's something that people can identify, they can have fun with. And yeah, with the rug pulls, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? There's a segment of people that say, look, I'm going to go ahead and take the slot machine. I'm going to put some money in it, and I'm going to hope that I hit the big one, right? And so they'll say, for example, they'll see these shit coins or whatever, and they'll know that they're crap pump and dump coins. They're fully aware. They're not dumb about the idea, but they're like, dude, if I could only just make some money, if I could just get in right before they pump it and I could just sell it right at the very top, then I'll make a lot of money. And so then they'll put money in the slot machine, right? They'll yank this thing, they'll buy into this thing pre-pump. It'll pump like crazy, and then they'll just let dollar signs get to their head or whatever, and then they'll come right back down and be like, I should have sold at the top. I'm going to try again, right? Reach into your pocket, like find a new one. They're like, okay, next time I'm not going to be so greedy. And that's fine. Like, look, it's obviously not an investment strategy, but that's fine. Like these people know that they're going to have fun with this, and it is what it is. And that's obviously a really extreme example. This is people with the expectation of not getting their money back in the hopes of making a lot. You have somewhere in between where people say, look, I'm going to buy this stock because I do actually like whatever, this company that's doing whatever it is that they're doing. And I think that it's a worthwhile investment, and maybe it's a little bit on the meme side, but that'll lead them to want to learn and say, why did the stock move up today? Oh, it's because the Fed, they did an interest rate decision. And that made the whole market go crazy. Why does the interest rate have anything to do with my AMC movie theaters? And then they Google it and then they can learn stuff. So I think that this segment is a huge segment of people that are having fun with the market. And I think it's wonderful. And they're taking the market however they want to take it. They're not sitting there waiting for dividends.
Yeah. Is it surprising to you how people respond to the revelation of how serious of a project Wall Street Bets is, despite having a relatively fun connotation as a brand? Has that been something that's been difficult to marry?
No, because you don't have to. I don't know that you have to marry. You can be a serious brand without having to be a serious. There's nothing like at this point. The brand, it's like an idea, right? It's people hold this idea everywhere, and this whole idea, this concept of I want to take control of this thing and I want to make money. It's just the finance being demystified completely, and I'm going to take this market from my slot market approach, or I'm going to take the market from whatever this other approach is going to be, or I'm actually going to try and do fundamental investing and read up on these things, whatever. And they can have fun at the same time. Like there's no point at which Wall Street Bets as a concept decides to become, like a hedge fund or a serious thing. It's a collective thing that's owned by it's not owned by anyone. It's an idea. It's everyone that wants to become a part of Wall Street Bets is able to become a part of Wall Street Bets. And I don't know that you need to actually make that marriage or distinction, really.
Very good. Vix, you've been in crypto and DeFi for a long time. What have you seen over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 years? How has the barriers to entry changed in terms of, we're not talking obviously about CEXs at this point, but like when you really get into this more interesting and early side of the market, what's different now than 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, I think the first time I ever bought Bitcoin, I bought some Linden dollars or something on some website, and somehow changed those into Bitcoins. I remember it was my first purchase. And then, there was the whole time where you had to actually physically go to the bank and do a wire to, I think there was a place called Bitfloor at the time. And I know there's still tremendous amounts of barriers, that we deal with those frictions every day. But, now, I would say the biggest, conduit or whatever you want to call it for people entering the crypto space is probably through something like Coinbase, where, the process is quite simple. You just set up your ACH, like a Venmo, PayPal account, and I guess you can even buy crypto on PayPal now. So the barriers have fallen, considerably. I think what people are finding out though, and I actually, one of the biggest things that's still when I talk to some of my friends that are getting into crypto is they'll want to use a certain exchange. And to me, I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy. Just buy on Coinbase, buy some, Bitcoin, or you could probably don't want to use Ethereum because it's too, the gas fees are too high. But Litecoin or whatever, and you just send that to the whatever exchange you want to use, and then your account is funded. To me, I forget that actually takes kind of a giant leap of faith, because some people, they go on Coinbase. And, Coinbase has expanded out to, many instruments now, and they buy, Matic or, Ethereum Classic or something, and it's just in a wallet, and they never actually experience sending crypto. Because the first time you send crypto, you probably, if it's at least a decent amount of money that, you probably check the address 5 times, you get up, walk around your room, and not sure if this is going to happen. Then you hit send, and you nervously hit refresh on the Block Explorer, waiting for your confirmation, and wherever your money is going to show up. And first time you do that, it's a nerve-wracking experience, and some of my friends are just going through that phase for the first time now.
What would you say is the number one mistake you see people make in their early stages of entering the market?
Well, I mean, other than buying the top, well, I would actually, I mean, here's the biggest thing is like the forces on the market are much more immense than people can imagine, and by its very nature, when the very large caps take take a nosedive, it's going to drag everything down with it. I think a lot of people think, well, if I just pick this specific projects, which yes, you want to do your due diligence. There's tons of scams out there, and a lot of those scams will go to zero. But that also means even good projects are going to get it's like going down with the Titanic. They're not going to be immune or not feel those overall market forces. So I say be a bit nimble when you get into the market. Don't get married to your position. That's some of the most dangerous things, because I certainly know people that they talk to me until they're blue in the face during the last bubble, and their coin went down 98%. They kept telling me I had a good team and they had these partnerships and everything. I said, yeah, but they're not immune to overall market forces.
Right.
So they learned a painful lesson.
Right. How long do you think that learning curve is for anyone entering the market for the first time before they can reasonably feel confident about what they're doing, that they've already done the one thing of sending the money to the wrong wallet address once and losing that, and there are all these sort of stumbling blocks. If you had to advise someone on how long and sharp that learning curve is, what would you say roughly?
I mean, there's I think almost part of the process is you kind of have to lose some money, and it's probably the truth that the dark truth you're not supposed to tell people. But when you get your teeth kicked in and you feel some of the pain, usually it reinforces the learning curve. So I don't know. I mean, I've been through enough of these cycles to see the same pattern emerge, to newer people, especially people, that maybe aren't, haven't really experienced a lot of stuff in the stock market. They're overall new to investing and trading. And it seems that they actually have to go through this process of, kind of getting beat up a bit.
I just need to interrupt over here. Like this concept of sending something to the wrong address, it's called a fat finger. All right. Like anyone who's been trading on Wall Street is really familiar with that term. And guess what? You can know what you're doing and that still happens. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's a learning curve component to it, which is, hey, what does this button do? And why is it asking me which network? And what happens if I get it wrong? That's like, I'm learning it. Another thing is, I know what network is supposed to be. I know what the address is going to be, and I still screwed up, right?
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. That is just a cost of playing this game or being in this world, especially if you're super active, right? If you just make one investment and sit on it forever, then you can really take your time with it. But if you're just sitting there from your phone, maybe you're at a stoplight and you're like, hold on, I just got to put this trade in or whatever. That part of it never goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, it's interesting as well, because I think I certainly made all of those mistakes, in early days. I bought the wrong token by accident. I sent something to the wrong wallet by accident. And I have to say, I think I learned a lot harder and faster from doing that than had everything gone smoothly. But yeah, it sort of comes with the territory. And one of the comments I've heard so many people say is the hardest moment for them was realizing there was no customer service, that there was just no one you could call when you made those mistakes. And especially, that first time you get rugged. I have a friend who literally tried to call Uniswap to try to fix it, and there was nothing that they could do. So I think that just that realization that you're on your own and kind of like the deep, deep ocean and nothing's going to save you from your mistakes is a pretty big part of DeFi. But I think the more people understand that it comes with the territory to make a few mistakes up front is healthy.
Yeah, but it comes with a turf, right? Like if you're getting rid of your training wheels or whatever.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why DeFi is attractive to people. At least people that are attractive to DeFi in part is because it doesn't come with training wheels, and it's because it doesn't have a customer service. It's, hey, this thing is just owned by this cloud and on everywhere and everything, and I'm gonna do. And it's not like I'm gonna put my entire retirement savings into DeFi. It's like I still have my money here, and I still have my Robinhood, and I still have whatever, and 401k, and now I'm gonna get into some DeFi with Uniswap, right? And so, because Uniswap can't do whatever Robinhood did with GameStop, or because Uniswap doesn't necessarily do the same type of know your customer, you have to register an account, or because this thing is across borders. So that's cool. I'll forego this customer service number as long as I'm able to buy this from Mongolia or whatever country.
In my opinion, not having a customer service is just a small price to pay for having a complete freedom of what you can do, what you want to buy, not what your broker offer you to, or does restrict or not restrict to do it. So I think.
Can I also point out that Robinhood does not have a customer service phone number you can call? At least they didn't. Maybe they do now.
That's cutting costs.
Last I checked,
that's cutting costs.
Yeah, I mean they do have some sort of a customer service facet, but they can't really fix anything for you once you've done it. So
that's true too.
It's somewhat mute. Now, Jamie, can you talk a bit about you see the stock world and the crypto world being something that can merge and coexist and actually benefit each other. Whereas, a lot of people in crypto are very sort of singular about their passion for crypto. A lot of people in stocks aren't interested in crypto. Where do you see that convergence happening? And why do you think Wall Street Bets is the ideal
Look, there's a lot of things that both communities can learn from each other, right? You have crypto, the hardcore crypto people that have been there since 2008 and really understand every facet of it and probably can code it themselves and go through and they'll sit there and say, I don't like Coinbase because Coinbase doesn't give you your own keys and therefore it's not yours, it's not centralized, and this is whatever. And then, of course, Coinbase has their solutions for it. But people will sit there and just get really the hardcore crypto people sit there and get really paranoid about this because that's the true power of crypto. At least it was a selling point early on. But they have to realize that there's a lot of people out there that like crypto for reasons outside of this whole, hey, this is outside of a central authority or an outside of a thing. I don't care if they have my keys. Look, I just want to buy this, and if it goes up, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to make some money, right? Like they're foregoing some of these kind of benefits that are intangible, that are still benefits, by the way, but they're just not the ones that the average guy says, I want Dogecoin so that I can keep my own keys and whatever. It's literally just I want to buy it and sell it as fast as I possibly can. And so there's this. I think the crypto community would do well by realizing that they can benefit a lot by having these adopters that are not going to read light papers and they're not going to figure out how these hash functions work and the proof of work and whatever. They're going to sit there and they're going to come in and they're going to participate because they want to learn, and having these easier to use entry points are really beneficial for the outsiders to come in. Because guess what? The outsider could come in and then say, okay, now everyone keeps talking about these private keys. What is this all about? Oh, okay. Well, Coinbase does give me the choice. I just got to download a separate one so that I can have a wallet. Okay. And then they learn, and then they can, go at their own pace. So I think that's really good. And I think that Wall Street has a ton to learn from crypto. Crypto has done. Look, I've been in Wall Street. I've been passionate about it for many years. And I've seen all sorts of things, and I understand the introduction of new products and the death of these products and where they've gone wrong. And crypto is unfathomable. I think that the crypto, and I'm guilty of this, by the way. I thought crypto was just Bitcoin or Ethereum or these coins that keep talking about in the news. They go up because of supply and demand. They go down because of supply and demand. They were uninteresting. No. Crypto, the whole financial system is brilliant, right? I just found out, for example, well, we'll start with a simpler example, 24/7, right? 24/7 trading. I think Wall Street could definitely benefit from that. And I'm not talking about the 3 a.m. I'm addicted to the stocks and I want to make money. I'm talking about the systemic risks that closing the markets pose. I'm not going to get too into the technicals, but closing the market poses risks. an easy one is a gap risk, for example, or having these rebalancings on a regular basis. All this stuff kind of shakes the foundation of the system. Another one, which I was flabbergasted when I learned about, was something that's called a variable leveraged ETF, right? This is way too technical for me to get into it, but on normal Wall Street, you have these things called leveraged ETFs. They're like stocks you can buy, sort of, and they go up 2 or 3 times more than whatever it's supposed to be tracking. They have this nasty side effect that if the market behaves a certain way, the price goes to zero with 100% certainty. So crypto people figured out a way to fix that in a really, really creative way, like that shows the dominance of these financial concepts. And they figured out things with liquidity. I don't know. There's just so many great minds in crypto that I think Wall Street needs to be pressured into adopting some of these things.
Amazing. And are you still in touch with a lot of your Wall Street friends and relationships about this project? And what's their response to it when you break it down for them?
Well, it's not like I broke up with them because my friends are still my friends and my wife is still my wife. Yeah, no, look, I think that a lot of people are really into both. I think I figured this out one day when I sent out a tweet that was really, it wasn't super technical, but I was using acronyms and it was really geared towards Wall Street people. And it was kind of like an inside joke. And a lot of the comments were like, hey, I don't know what this acronym means, right? And I think that actually the acronym was ATH, like all-time high. And people didn't know what that meant. And it's a common acronym for people that are in the stock market. And I'm like, what point did my followers forget what ATH means? So then I sent out immediately after this little survey thing, say, hey, are you crypto or are you a Wall Street person? And I got 75% of the people said they're crypto people. That said, I didn't give them a choice to say they're both. I should do that. I should do that again with a choice to say you're both. I would be willing to guess that everyone is into or wants to be into both because what? There's more opportunities. There's more places to diversify. Crypto has a lot of things that they still need to improve. As much of things have gotten better, there's still a pain in the butt. I cannot tell my mom how to buy the WSBDApp, and I refuse to try, right? Until I can call her on the phone and tell her on the phone how to do it, we still have a long ways to go. And with regards to so with regards to the Wall Street people are like, look, maybe they had a similar approach as me that said, look, crypto is just Bitcoin. It's a price, it's supply and demand, blah, blah, blah. And it's just an asset class. It's not all that interesting. The liquidity is not that great, or maybe it's way too highly correlated. And they'll just pick at little things like that. And they'll just refuse to realize, no, dude, crypto is more than just this Bitcoin price. Right. And, it's the number of tools. Like I live in Mexico and I try to send money back and forth, and I've tried to find a million different ways, and crypto is infinitely easy. If you want to send money internationally, the old-fashioned, the boomer way, I had to send somebody in the U.S. to go to the bank to fill out a piece of paper with a pen, write down my 18-digit account number by hand, right, which hopefully is legible, give it to the guy, pay $50 for the thing. They give me a terrible FX rate. The money disappears from the U.S. bank, and then it takes like a week, and with my fingers crossed, the 18 digits were correct, and then they reappear. So it costs a ton of money, and it's super just archaic. With this, it's just click, 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 the money. So there's a lot of great benefits, and I think that $1 fee, just $1 fee if you transfer money on Binance Smart Chain. I don't even use Binance. I just use crypto, right? I got crypto wallets everywhere. So I got bank accounts linked to all of them. So I just transfer money to.
I'm just comparing $50 at the bank and $1 in your own bank in your hand. When you are the
zero,
bank.
I don't know what you're paying $1 for. I don't pay the dollar. I transfer money to my own wallet. I pay the gas fee or whatever.
No, if you transfer Transocean, for example. If you, for example, want to send me, right, in Europe, you in normal wise in the bank, you have to pay like $50, $60. How many Western Union get the fee? I don't remember. And when you just send with crypto, just 1, 2, 3 process, and in 2 seconds they're here on my wallet. Done.
There you go.
Problem solved. So we're already solving here a lot of problems. Crypto solves a lot of problems here.
It's funny because I haven't yet been in a position of needing to send crypto to someone overseas as a form of payment or otherwise, but where I've kind of realized how nimble it was was when you run out of something, you run out of like BNB to pay some fee for some transaction, and you have to literally reach out to a friend and say, can you send me $5 worth of BNB? And they're so happy to do it. And it's there in 2 minutes. And there's so many exchanges like that happening amongst strangers online where it's like, I literally need $2, but I have no way to obtain it in this moment, or not one that makes sense. And like 5 minutes later, you have it from someone. So it definitely gives me the sense of what could happen.
Everyone understands how it feels
Yeah.
to run out of gas or run out of fee.
Yeah, and I think there's also, there seems to me to be a real disconnect in a lot of people are looking at crypto as, simply this way to invest or to trade or to make money fast or to make money long term, but they're sometimes disconnected from the actual utility of some of the projects that are behind the tokens, and also somewhat disconnected from some of the potential applications for some of these tokens or for crypto in general in terms of a payment system. And I think that's something that hopefully we're going to see a lot more of coming down the pipeline, where I even think about, my background is in film, and, the process of paying a crew that's coming from multiple countries and have bank accounts in multiple countries and having to pay them on a weekly basis would be so much easier in this format than through the traditional payroll systems that we use. And it's obviously like much more trackable and traceable and all of those things. So it's going to be exciting to start talking about what those real world applications are when it comes to just, simple currency transfer across borders. Vix, what have been some of the best use cases that you've seen in real life application that have come out of crypto that can take the conversation away from just the kind of, the casino version of it or the long-term investment into just real world use?
Well, I always kind of laughed at people years ago because I always said, gambling is a use case. Speculation is a use case, actually. But on a more serious note, I've lived in the crypto world for quite some time, and I've probably paid for more stuff with crypto than probably everybody here. With ease. But like I went to the Super Bowl and paid for it in crypto via gift cards and stuff like that. So in terms of like living in the crypto world, I've lived there for a long time, and pay for a lot of things via crypto conduit, or it's even getting easier now to directly pay with crypto. I guess then it comes to the point where like payment was the first use case. Beyond that, I think we're starting to see it too, or we have seen it. These countries, it seems to be a lot of South American countries that are running into the hyperinflationary type scenarios where their governments are massively understating how much inflation there is. And for the longest time they were looking at they always wanted dollars. Now you're seeing these countries adopt whether it be the governments still are hesitant, but the people are looking at crypto and looking at Bitcoin to shelter their savings, because putting it in their native currency, the Argentine peso or Venezuelan bolivar, whatever it is, it doesn't translate into savings. They don't have any savings in 10 years. So I think that's the real the real moving part on, or the moving point at like the humanity component of crypto. It gives people an alternative, an escape from those things that they wouldn't have been able to escape as easily before. So I think that's a really big thing. Even I remember this was, I think, back in 2015. I met a girl from, I think she was from either Afghanistan or Pakistan, and women in some of those countries are not allowed to have bank accounts, and she actually was using crypto to get to do some funding to get the supplies needed to help other women around her and stuff like that. It's a pretty amazing thing, especially back then, to be using crypto for that. But it just goes to show the financial exclusion component is still so massive. We in our first world nations like the US and especially Western Europe, we don't think about this every day. But we have to realize that there's a significant majority of the world that their financial services are not, they're not guaranteed. They're not taken for granted.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah. And also, which is, again, it solves these other barriers to entry in these countries that have been set up by central banking systems, by governments. So as hard as it is sometimes for people to enter crypto, it's, I think, doubly hard in many countries for people to enter just the normal economy. We have some questions coming in from the audience, and I'm going to throw it over to Meow Meow to ask those to you guys.
All right. So actually, we received several questions in the chat. I'm going to put them up on the screen. And let's start from this one, from Saltrick. What are the plans when regulations prevent synthetic stock being traded on the blockchain? Would this not kill the project? Wix, would you happy to answer this question, please?
Yeah, I mean, look, so first of all, I mean, these are basically going off of some comments mainly from Gary Gensler at I believe he's at the SEC, right? And people definitely took note and precautionary note regarding his statements. But one thing to understand is this is just, I don't want to say hyperbole, but this is just, kind of thought leadership. Now that can translate into regulatory framework, or it could go by the wayside too, and it could take on a lot of different forms. Thankfully, we have people like the Coin Center. They got Jerry Brito and some of those people that are over in Washington that are going to want to form this, be our voice for crypto in the unfortunate slime that is the lobbying in Washington, and try and get us favorable outcomes. So I wouldn't say that's like a snap your fingers, light switch, it's game over. Now, certainly we're going to continue to monitor that as it develops and evolves. I also know one thing about government, it takes forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember back in 2013 when there was a hearing about Bitcoin and people said Bitcoin's going to be regulated. Still waiting for a lot of that regulation that people told me about back in 2013 to come to fruition. That we're talking 8 years ago. Stuff moves very slowly in Washington. So before they want to go about pointing the gun or the figurative government gun at certain crypto projects, specifically on the DeFi side, which I think is it's one thing to say it and even talk about implementing. It's another thing to have some enforcement or enforceability to it, and I'm not quite sure what that looks like even. So that's where we're gonna stand on that. That doesn't. I don't think it's a binary condition of like it's done. That said, I mean we're looking to expand out, not just with tokenized stocks. We'll continue to add many more assets that aren't necessarily under the vise of securities. And then we'll also continue to push out to other DeFi aspects like DeFi options and DeFi futures trading, etc. That's what we want to look at as the WSBDApp is the decentralized version of Robinhood, or an equivalent on the DeFi side.
I just want to interject over here. Sometimes, like, the term regulation sounds got like a negative connotation. There's nothing wrong with regulation. In fact, it legitimizes everything. Regulation, at its core, tends to want to do two things: either protect people or tax, which both are fine, right? That's fine if we want to get protected, and that's fine if the government wants to tax it. Like, it's their right, and that's what makes this thing that much more legitimate. It almost gives them their seal of approval, right? So that's one side of things. And the other side of things is this is a really, really murky area where it's like, who regulates exactly what, right? So there's things that you can pinpoint nicely, which is if you're buying a stock and then you're rolling it up into a token and then you're putting that on a blockchain, that's one type of a stock tokenized stock, right? Then you have another type of tokenized stock, which is what you're seeing a lot with these mirror pools, whatever, which are essentially which don't essentially touch the stock market. It's people on one side saying, hey, I will provide liquidity for this trade. Essentially, you're taking one side of the trade and you take the other side of the trade. And for all intents and purposes, it's a decentralized bet. That's all it is. And if Apple goes up and you bought it, then the guy that sold it to you has to pay it to you. And it's in this smart contracts, whatever, this guarantee kind of approach to things. So those things to you might look the same. I bought Apple, right? But to the regulators, it looks incredibly different because one does it mechanically one way, the other one does it mechanically the other way. So at the end of the day, I personally welcome regulation. I believe regulators have the best intentions. Maybe they don't pull it off the right way. But if and when they get around to regulating a space like this, I'm optimistic that it will be a benefit. Because ultimately they cannot make it go away. All governments tried to make crypto go away and they all failed. So now they just can't beat them, join them.
I think they can't even join it properly, to be honest.
China did. China aced that exam.
Yeah, and the result, you know how it ended right now by kicking out all miners and making it even more decentralized than ever.
True.
Yeah. So just want to remind everyone, I see similar questions, to the same which was answered already. So guys, you can ask questions both on YouTube and on Periscope/Twitter, and we will put it on the screen. And right now I want to get back to the podcast part of itself. So wait for collect more questions for later on. So get me out of the screen. So put me to the right, please.
We do have a funny one, which I'm sure everyone here will appreciate, which is, can we do a daily meeting like this at the same time?
No. I'd love to,
Yeah.
but it's time consuming.
Yeah.
I can, but probably I will burn out after a week or two.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a weekly podcast, and we are going to have more and more guests and more presence from the leadership on the podcast. So there will be something to plug into weekly, but daily I think would be far too much because we all have jobs to do on this and there's work to be done. But thank you for the question. And I think we just answered his second question at the same time.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time left here. We find ourselves in this moment of, I think quite a pivotal moment for this project, which launched on 4/20, which has been through many iterations of development. There have been a lot of really interesting releases lately, the latest being, the website, the stonks. There are ETPs coming. We've talked about that a little bit, but because so many of our dialogues have been inside of our Telegram chat with our community, and this is the first time we've come onto Twitter and to YouTube Live, I'd love if we could just sort of solidify, first Jamie and then Vix, where we're at in the development of this project and what you guys are most excited about sharing with the community and the audience. We'll start with Jamie.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh God, someone got distracted. So the question is, because this is the first time that we've gone live on Twitter and on YouTube, so much of the information we've shared has been internal with our community. And we're at a really pivotal point in the history of this project. Having launched on 4/20, we're now on August 12th. There have been a slew of releases lately. There's more to come. But just this relaunch of the website, the rebranding of the project, and the recent launch of the stonks are, a pretty significant development for us. Can you talk about where you see us at this moment in time and what you're most excited about communicating to anyone who's here for the first time, who's new, who's unfamiliar with the project?
So I don't really think I don't know what it is that you launched on in April, but I guess you could buy the tokens, right? But there's nothing there. And so I was kind of confused, and I have been this entire time, which is like, well, why is the stock price, why is the token price doing whatever it's doing? I'm like, why are people talking about the token price? Like, this thing isn't launched yet, like in my view, right? Because there was the liquidity mining program, and there's kind of these steps that you take in order to create these these dApps or these DAOs. But the whole concept of saying, hey, we're creating ETPs, let's vote on these and let's commit them, let's do these single stocks, let's do all, like none of that stuff existed. We just now launched single stocks, right? We're still about to launch the ETP. So as far as I'm concerned, this rebranding, as far as I'm concerned, is the first branding. The last branding was fine, but let's just say that I like this one significantly more. And I always saw the last one is not going to be the final face of things. And so if you ask me, we haven't really launched yet. I'm looking forward to actually launching probably next month, right? This is when this thing actually does something, right? Where we can go to the world and say, hey guys, become a part of this dApp, buy the tokens, vote, use your governance, do the liquidity thing. If if we decide to do more liquidity programs, or buy into the single stocks, or just participate. Now this thing actually has utility. Now let's go ahead and talk about this thing. Now let's actually to push this out. Because prior to that, the only thing that we'd be, the only thing that we were launching is just kind of pipe dreams and hopes. And yes, sometime in the future we're going to have a nicer website. All that stuff is coming together. It's the communication is always tricky because it's really fluid, right? There's behind the scenes conversations where it's like, we're on the we're having meetings with some really big centralized exchange that everyone really wants, or they really want us to be listed on Coinbase market cap, whatever it is, Coin Market Cap or CoinGecko, whatever, and then we're talking to them. They're like, oh, you don't have an audit yet. Oh, okay. So we have to crawl that back and delay that until we get the audit. If we tell people, hey, we're going to be listed on CoinGecko, then CoinGecko gets pissed off. People get pissed off. Kind of have to wait until things work. Some deals end up falling through the cracks. That was not a Freudian slip. Some deals end up actually, coming out of left field when we weren't expecting it. And so as these things get molded, we communicate to people, hey, this is what's actually certain. This is what you can expect. But what people can expect is a fully functioning, just as promised, dApp, the way that we've designed it, with the proper branding, with the proper functionality, ready to launch, ready to go steam ahead, and ready to actually push this message out to people so that when they go in there and they research, they're like, oh, this thing does stuff. It's actually utility, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a rug pull, which, by the way, the only way you get rid of this rug pull theory is just by waiting 6 months, apparently. So we had to do that anyways to get rid of those critics. And then after that, then it's I don't know. I'm overly excited. I signed on to this project really trying to be the mouthpiece. I turn down crypto offers very regularly, and I had up until this one, and I almost instinctively turned this one down too. Except for this one was different. I felt this one was kind of a game changer. The team behind it is incredible. The technology that they're stitching together is incredible. And that's the reason why I came on board. But I said, I'm going to go on TV because it's easy for me to go on CNBC or on CNN or Bloomberg or whatever, Yahoo. And that's the extent to which I'll help you out because I really care about your cause. Now I'm so passionate about this. Like I've completely immersed myself. I'm attending these meetings and these calls and suggesting and weighing in on the branding stuff that I never thought I would be. So that, if that's a testament to how excited I am, I don't know what is.
Welcome to the crypto rabbit hole. There is no way back.
No, it's wonderful. And it is amazing. I think once you can see something actually start to take shape as this has, it's impossible to ignore the appeal of it. And it's lucky to have you, getting more vested in it in that way.
Wait, I just want to answer a question because I love transparency that just came in from Style. It's asking how are we getting compensated? Are we selling the tokens or whatnot? It's a simple question, and I feel it's important to address it because it's transparent. None of us are getting paid any money. We're all getting paid, at least to the best of my knowledge. All the people that are part of the team are getting paid in Wall Street Bets tokens, right? These were allocated from the beginning, and that's how. So if the Wall Street Bets token goes up, then those coins are worth more money. We have that same vested interest. There's certain, partners that we work with, such as the developers and such as the marketing teams, and we actually have to pay them in money. They're not part of the team. They're literally like employees. They're not employees, but like,
contractors.
Contractors. Thank you. So those are the only ones that actually get paid, but they're just getting paid on deliverable. So I hope that answers your question. But all of the entire team is holding on to these things, getting paid in these things, and where our incentives are 100% aligned with everybody else.
I think probably important to add to that too, that there's a vesting and unlock schedule with the team tokens.
Exactly. They vest over a year or so. Yeah, like I've gotten paid 3 months worth of my tokens, right? So I've only gotten 30%. I'm holding on to all of them, so it's not like it really makes a difference to me. But they vest really slowly. So there's the chances of them being dumped. You would see that dumping effect take place a little bit every month, but you won't see that happen.
Yeah. I think that answers the question very well. Vix, I would love to also, bring you in on the earlier question, which is, what are you most excited about that you'd like to convey to the people who are new to this project at this time? What might not be obvious, what might be, interesting as a development, but mostly, like, what do you want to tell all the new people that are listening to this for the first time?
Well, I mean, I do want to just kind of, reiterate and chime in a bit on what Jamie said. There really are two different launches. There was the token launch, which, hey, our project's out there. We have an idea, right? Just like all the, sea of meme coins that we're in. And now we're transitioning, which most of the meme coins can't or won't or never intended to do. Now we're actually translating into the utility aspect of it, where there's a functionality component of it. So that is a really good way of putting it, the way Jamie did, that we're really launching now. No.
Yeah.
It's not like we were just put something on paper and pray, 4 or 5 months ago. It was, these things do take time to develop. And actually, we've been pretty good with the timeline. And we've expanded it, the roadmap. We initially really only had the idea of the ETP. And now we're actually starting to, fully amoeba up the DeFi side of things and expand out to tokenized stocks, and continue to offer more of those on cheaper chains and more options for people. So when they come to the WSBDApp, they're able to interact with all of these aspects of DeFi, and it's not scattered about everywhere in the corners of DeFi that people never going to find. So we're finding a tremendous amount of support from our partners on all these fronts, and I imagine that will continue. As we continue to forge on to other aspects of the product suite, and that's what people should be really excited for, because the retail facing, the Chad apes, the apes together strong aspect to it, like that has a lot of power. And it's gonna bring in a lot of partners to boost liquidity and to boost product offering as a whole. So I think that's what people should be really excited about, is rather than spending hours and hours trying to figure out what is this website and who are these people and what are they doing, we're putting the WSB brand behind so many things and vetting these partners, and we're gonna bring all of those products under basically one roof.
Amazing. Thank you. Meow Meow, I think we have time for one more question from the audience.
All right. So questions actually regarding the synthetic stocks, right? Well, it's a little bit messy, but I think I understand what the point of this question. Will Miro be available to help us to sell the synthetic assets process, right? Should I take it from here? No problems. Okay, it's no problem for me. So basically, right, with the stonks already, with the stonks platform, you already can buy price effect of the exact stock, and you can also sell it. If you sell, you'll be a paper hand, by the way. So yeah, sorry for that. But Miro protocol, we're using the mirrored assets already, and there is zero problem for right now the platform. So you can buy, you can sell, it's working already. So I think, yes, it's available to help you to sell it. I guess that's as much as I can answer your question directly to the point. Do anyone wants to add to that, please? No.
I'm a little confused where that question went.
Should I put it again on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So there was actually it's a two-part question, right? Like this is the first part, and there was a second one. We need to explain how normal Twitter goes to Nasdaq to trade and how to Twitter, Mirror Twitter goes to WSB to trade. It goes through Mirror protocol.
Oh, he's talking about the technicalities behind like what's going on in the background. Okay. Well, and first of all, I should say that this is slightly outside of my wheelhouse. Like, I'm not a dev, but we actually are using Paraswap, and there's some kind of conduit there that goes out to the Mirror protocol and fetches these instruments. I'm not quite sure if I really answered that, other than there's some stuff moving behind there that it's a little bit outside, like I said, outside of my my role. So
Right. Yeah, I see already chat cheering me up a little bit. Sorry guys, too much coffee and lack of sleep. All good. It's kind of late here, almost morning.
So we have to wrap this up. Jamie, Vix, do you guys have anything else you'd love to add this week, or are you feeling good?
I'm feeling good, but thank you so much for this. I love this new format, by the way. I'm hoping other people did as well. I definitely would love to do these as often as possible. Thank you so much for the great work at putting this together.
Venus, maybe you want to tease what next week's episode topic guest is going to be.
So next week we're going to have a special guest joining us from Tel Aviv, who is the head of marketing for NF Trade, which is an NFT platform where you can swap and trade NFTs. And he's going to be speaking to us about the current NFT craze that's going on and give us some really unique insights on that marketplace. So we'll come back to you with the date and the time, but it's going to be super relevant to what's happening right now in crypto. Meow Meow, anything else from you?
I'm actually really excited about the next week and really happy about the format we made. A little bit change of the format. It's actually nice to see everyone face to face, not just by voice. So I want to say thank you to Vix and Jamie for joining us today, and thank you, Venus.
Of course.
I don't see any questions right now which we can fit in closer already. So I can answer them in Telegram, but we have to wrap it up already.
All right, cool. We'll wrap it up for today. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.